Welcome. I hope you enjoy the conversation you're about to see between me and another comedian about religion and comedy. These are conversations I'm calling disorganized religion. God bless. And for those atheists out there, may nothing await you after this life.
Sweet welcome. Hey, nerds. Another episode of Disorganized Religion. Hopefully everyone's staying safe and healthy during this pandemic that I pray is going to end very soon, but probably won't. And because of that, we're doing this over Zoom, which stock in Zoom is rising rapidly. Buy in, I guess. It might be too late. But I'm joined today by the fantastically fun and beautiful Wendy Wilkins.
Oh, Seth, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me, Wendy.
Oh my God, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You're one of my favorite people in comedy, literally.
Oh, you're so sweet. You are one of my favorites. There are some people that you get to know and it's like, I don't remember how we met, when we met, and it doesn't matter, you know? And there's some people where it's like, I should not have gone in there that day.
Yes.
And you are not one of those.
I should not have turned and said, hey, hi.
Yeah. Worst mistake ever. Well, how you been doing? How you holding up under the coronavirus?
Well, I'm good because I'm a writer. And so, and then what I do to pay the bills is I work in television production. And so I get chunks of time where I work TV. Yeah. And then I get chunks of time where I take a break. And I just worked 8 months straight. So I was like, the week before this all went down, my job ended. And I was like, great, I can get back to writing.
Right. Break time.
Comedy together and start hiking again and just get my life back in order. And I was totally this was the year I was going to be on the road. I was going to be featuring. And so I was already planning a tour in upstate New York in the summer and all that. And I was like, getting ready, run, hit the ground running. And then this all happened. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just be writing and working on comedy and hiking. And then the hiking got taken away. So now I'm running on Sunset at 11 at night because it's I don't know to anybody, and so it's just whatever. It's for me, it's peaceful. I've been saying I went through three years of being separated and divorced and having another relationship blow up in my face where I spent so much time alone and crying. This is nothing. This is nothing now. This is fun.
You've been prepped.
Not crying. Yeah, exactly. Total prep.
Oh man, that's great. Wow.
How are you holding up?
We're doing well. Me, the wife, 3 kids. I've been joking with people that I like the fact that I picked someone to be with and then made 3 other people that I enjoy. So it's been good.
That is good. Fine. That is good.
I mean, with any family, you have tense moments, but those were going to happen anyway. So.
Exactly. Well, that's nice that you like your family. Most of my family, I don't know.
You're okay being quarantined from?
Yeah, I'm 3,000 miles away from most of them. It's fine.
Where are they then? 3,000 in New York?
Most of us grew up in upstate New York.
Okay.
That we were farmers that sort of, apparently, at least on my dad's side of the family, we got here in 1840.
Okay.
And all just became farmers for at least 60, 70 years. And then the age of manufacturing, everybody just sort of moved to the area that most of us grew up in now, which is the Binghamton area. And it's the south central part of upstate New York. My school bus turned around in Pennsylvania every day.
Oh my gosh.
Like how close we were. And then they became, blue collar workers. So, but then manufacturing just sort of disappeared in the last 30 years in upstate New York. So my family, my dad retired from the cable business. He worked in the cable business from the inception and moved down to Florida. Like him and all of his friends from upstate New York, who all hung out together, all retired and moved to the same neighborhood in Florida. So, though most of their friends picked up and went to upstate New York during this whole thing before they closed the borders of Florida. So weird. He's like, I don't know why, but they all did. I don't know. I don't get it. They usually all go there in the summer, but
That's like the worst place to be right now.
Yeah. But then my cousins on my dad's side all live still in upstate. But my cousins on my mom's side My mom passed away in 99. So my cousins on my mom's side all scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
So I got Denver, I have Richmond, I have Pennsylvania, Reading, Pennsylvania, and then, you know, Boston and Connecticut. So everybody's everywhere. So
yeah.
I don't really have a home anymore. Once my mom died, I don't really have a home. So LA is my home.
Yeah.
It's like the most prophetic thing my ex-husband told me. He goes, you got to just accept the fact that LA is your home.
Oh, wow.
I was like, yep, that's when we were getting divorced. I was like, yeah, I've been here longer than I've been anywhere else. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how long have you been doing comedy?
I have been doing comedy 27 years.
Holy smokes.
And
where'd you start?
I started in upstate New York when I was going to community college. They did an open mic at a bar, and it mainly was all music. It was some hippie guy who ran it, and he talked more in between the acts than anybody did. Like, he would talk for 15 minutes and then somebody would play a song. Like, it was just awful.
Yeah.
And I was the only comic, and I had no idea what I was doing, but you know, we never do the first time.
Right.
And I did it, and you know, and then he went on for 15 minutes from the stage about what I was doing, you know. So
Jeez.
and so but there was one comedy club in our area. I was in like a big room at the Ramada Inn. And I can't even remember what it was called, but the owner could tell that, because I would just come by myself, and he'd let me just pay $5. I didn't need to buy 2 drinks. He told all the waitresses to leave me alone. I would sit in the front row and I would just watch. I saw Jay Moore, his like first year he was doing it.
Yeah.
I saw Ellen DeGeneres came up. Rosie O'Donnell came up.
Oh, wow.
A bunch of people now, I don't remember, but like, I'm sure they're bigger people now. You know, Skippy from Family Ties, he came up, Mark Price. And it was so much fun. It was great. Hold on one second. I have to tell my Tinder boy to leave me alone.
No, you're good. You're good.
Please stop texting me. I'll text you later.
That's great. That's great. It's good you're staying active during this time.
I've had a whole FaceTime Tinder relationship with somebody during the quarantine. It's amazing.
It's perfect. This is a dream come true for you. So what drew you to stand up? Why did you want to do it?
Well, my dad was the funny one of his group.
Okay.
My grandma was the funny one of her group. Even when she like went into the retirement home. She would tell these like filthy jokes, like to the nurses, to the other patients, everything. Like she was the one. My grandma used to make. She was an artisan, very crafty, but she used to make chocolate penises and boobies, like for bachelorette parties and different things. And like,
I'm so glad it's for that and not just. You know.
Oh my God. And she was great at it. Just like was really good at it. So it just kind of being funny is running our family. And I was always a smart ass of my friends. And I would always like, anybody could dare me to moon somebody, I would. I mean, I was one of the only white girls with a big ass. So So I loved to dare. So I would like in 7th grade, I was mooning everybody. I got a nickname Mooner. It was the whole thing.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I just sort of like developed that kind of personality. And so then my mom, so my parents are divorced and we live with my dad during the week and my mom on the weekends. So my mom was very open about letting us watch anything. My dad was too, because he worked for the cable company. He was just like, I can't be a hypocrite.
Yeah, sure.
So
interesting.
But she loved comedy. She loved a lot of things, but she absolutely loved comedy. So we watched, even at a very young age, we watched them all.
Yeah.
Like, didn't matter the language or the subject matter or anything. We watched them all. So I really developed it from watching. And then I also love British comedies. So the Young Ones, there was a thing called the comic strip, Richard Saunders. So that also developed in me watching them and just soaking them in, because I got them like more than my friends. My friends wouldn't watch them. They watched the Young Ones, but they wouldn't get the other ones. But I was just like, no, this is like brilliant, you know? Yeah. So I that developed into my writing. That helped in my writing life. and then watching all the stand-up specials and just like devouring them. My favorite growing up was Bill Hicks.
Okay.
And when I saw him, I was just like, that's who I want to be. I want to be somebody who pushes the envelope, or at least pushes this, because he had a very specific kind of subject matter that he would talk about, and it was great.
Yeah.
Now, I am not political. I am not that kind of thing. But the stuff I did talk about.
Why are you political?
Whatever. But the stuff I do talk about, I think I do push. And so, and his inspiration and who he was always has pushed me to like be my most authentic self. And so if that is me talking about sex all the time, then that's me talking about.
And I guess there you go, right?
But by the way, this whole pandemic, I wrote 10 minutes that have nothing to do with sex. So I know I can write it. Yes.
It's stretching you. It's finally
it is.
It's finally getting you out of the comfort zone.
Yep. It's just such a wealth of info when the sex.
Yeah. So what did you end up writing about? The coronavirus itself? Or
well, it's more about like just people within the current, and then things like, because I was going out, I still go out every night at the dark because I'm not moving around enough to have me have a fitful night of sleep. So even though I exercise when the hiking trails are open, I still went out at night to do a walk. And so 8 or 9 things have happened to me while I've done that walk that are just fucking wonderful.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, it made me so happy that when you're forced into like a situation, that's when the creative juices really get going. And so like all my jokes are based on real things that happen to me, and dumb things that I've done or been done to me. They're not things I go out and look for. They just all of a sudden happen. And then I'm like, this is a joke. I have to write this. I have to write, because there's so much truth in the shit that happens to me that it's just like, well, that's why, I'm really, I was fortunate enough to have parents that were open about sex. And so like, they never made me feel shamed about being a sexual being. So that's why I think I'm a little bit more open in my act about talking about sex, is because it just has always come natural to me to be like talking about it.
Right. So as far as, so doing it for 27 years, I think you're I don't know any other comedian that has done it for that long. I don't know any other comedian as well as I know you that has done it for that long. So what perspective do you have over that time in gaining your voice? And any tips that you would give or things to keep in mind as you're trying to find your genuine self on stage?
It took a real
persona.
Long. Right. It took, I was very raw my first years, because I did that. I did, like I said, I did that one open mic. And then when I was in college, I did a comedy contest called the funniest college student in the Hudson Valley.
Oh, where did you go to college?
It's called SUNY New Paltz, which stands for State University of New York.
Got it.
New Paltz, which is across the river from Poughkeepsie, and also Vassar, Marist, Culinary Institute, like a whole bunch of other colleges.
Sure.
And so there was like 15 of us.
Yeah.
And I got third.
Oh, hey.
Some girl at Vassar got second, and then my friend who went to my college got first. He did like a high school cafeteria food fight, but he did impressions. So it was very crowd pleasing. Yeah. So
what a hack.
My closer was lines that men give women, trying to get them to do what they want.
Oh, okay.
And then lines that the women give to those men. And so like, it really was like, it was really great. It was good.
Yeah.
So, but then I came to LA to work in production. And when I was 22, and my very first time was the Comedy Store. So the third time I do stand-up is the Comedy Store open mic.
Jeez, at their potluck? I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, it's not it is potluck, but it's not the version that it is now. It's a whole different other thing.
It's up in the belly room, right?
No, it was in the main room.
Oh, okay.
It was on Sunday in the original room, not main room, original room.
Yeah.
Sunday nights, you showed up at like 3. You signed up. It was, and then you put your name in a hat. And then you fucked off for like 2 or 3 hours.
Sure.
Came back. The list was there. and it started like 8.
Okay.
Like it was not fun. And so if you got a later slot time, you like it was dangerous to be there in the early days. So I know
that area of town. Yeah.
At the Comedy Store because there had been shootings on the patio because of, beefs with
crazy people.
It was awful. Right. So, and as a woman, there wasn't a lot and I mean, there's so much more women now. I know it's only about 30%, but
it's nauseating.
It was maybe 10%.
Yeah.
And any woman who went there who was even slightly adorable, nothing but hit on all the time. And and just awful behavior by men. Just crazy. So, but if
that hasn't changed much.
No, but we're a little bit easier to handle. It's a little bit easier to handle, a little bit smarter,
Yeah.
And so if I got a time after midnight, I wouldn't do it because I don't know, and I didn't have a car, so and there was no Ubers or anything like that. Yeah. I didn't have any money, so I had to either bum a ride or walk anywhere.
Yeah. So they would start at 8 and just go until everyone had gone up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so different because now it's just an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So very different.
Yeah.
Anyway, so essentially I started comedy here. And I did it straight for 15 years. I was also working a full-time job, and there wasn't as many mics. It was like 1 or 2. You picked your area of town where you did it. So there was these circles that wouldn't go, like there was the Valley people and the West Side people and the Hollywood people and the East Side people and the South people. And nobody really, every once in a while you would like cross paths with them, but I wouldn't. There's a bunch of people I'm meeting now that did comedy back then I never met because unless they went to my mics, there wasn't that many.
Yeah.
And so I did it hard for 15 years as hard as I could. And then people either got married and were dropping out, having kids, or were getting jobs, performing jobs, writing jobs, and nobody was looking at me.
Oh man.
And about the same time, and I also got to a point where I'm like, who am I? I don't think I was as strong in my POV and who I needed to be in my voice. And then I'd gotten to a point where my writing was starting, even though it was new, and I'd only had a few years into it, it started to take off. So then I fell in love. And my joke is true. I fell in love and it ruined my act.
Okay, so why do you say that? Why though?
Because I was talking about how I had a lot of jokes about there's no white guys out there who like my big white butt,
Oh,
and then the world changed as soon as I stopped doing it. It was just like so, and the jokes were very self-deprecating. Yeah, they still are now, but like, and they played well, but. When I fell in love, I stopped going as much. And then when I would go, it got real, the tides had turned and it had got really broy. Really broy.
Interesting.
And it had a lot of the attitude, which I like to call the Judd Apatow attitude, which was, it was very mean-spirited. It's like the tone that was in his movies. So very mean-spirited. A lot of people are trying to be Zach Galifianakis, who is a friend of mine who I came up with.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I saw these mini versions of the character Zach Galifianakis that that they were trying to be. So, and I was just like, I don't want to be here. I hate this. This feels like an abusive boyfriend. I don't want to do this. So I dropped off. Yeah. And concentrated on writing and acting. And I'm telling you, once I decided to come back after, being away about 10 years, and I would do it like once or twice a year. So I technically was still doing stand-up. Yeah. And once I went through the hardship of being separated and divorced and having another relationship blow up with me. Stand-up spoke to me like, you need to go back to it. You're a stand-up. You came to LA to be a stand-up along with being everything else. But stand-up is like number 1 or 2 on your list. Right. You have to go back to it. Right. And as soon as I did that, I started writing jokes. Like it was like, because my brain had clicked off from writing jokes and I clicked right back on, and I couldn't I didn't have enough time. I was trying to write everything. There was constant, like it was like this built up in my brain.
Sure.
And it just like vomited on me. It was so great. And then
Yeah.
I was, at the time I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back on stage, but I was working in Santa Fe, New Mexico on a TV show, the Waco miniseries, the second to last Weinstein Company production before they blew up.
Yeah.
And that's a dead town after 8 p.m. Like there's nothing there. Yeah. So couldn't find anything there. And then as soon as that job was over, I came back to LA, and I was going through the divorce proceedings and getting my life together, and like sleeping on the couch in our old apartment. I was just trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
And but then still working out some things, still doing stuff. And then my friend's like, go back to Chicago, because I'd worked in Chicago with her. And then she's like, come back to Chicago and do this other show. So we went back to Chicago, and that was July of 2018. And as soon as we did, the moment I got there, I was like, okay, what do I do? And so they have a website too, got the website. I started to figure it all out. I got, went to one.
When you say they, you mean like Chicago has an open mic website?
Yeah, like we do for the Comedy Bureau. It's I can't even remember what it's called now. But yeah, they have the same kind of thing.
Got it.
And so I did one, and then I was like, okay, that's a safe one. And then I started to make friends. And so I was there for 6 months, and it was like, I got my feet back. No one knew any of my old jokes.
Yeah.
I could tell all of my old jokes until the, stuff started to move.
Yeah.
And then started writing new stuff and started getting up and then I got invited to write on this comedy website, and I made a whole bunch of friends. And then I have a gang, it was great. And I was like, okay, so as soon as I got back to LA in December 2018, I hit the ground running. I went to a party like 2 days after I got here, full of comics, and they're like, oh, it's called the Comedy Bureau. I was like, okay, great. And so then I started to map it, and so I did the same thing. I did 1, 2, figure it all out, and then as soon as I could, I was doing 2 or 3 a night. And I completely was like, this is what I've always needed. This is a thing I sort of ran myself away from.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then I came back with the Wendy. I knew who I was. Mm-hmm. I think going through the divorce and the other relationship, I got to a point where I finally figured out I am the Wendy I always wanted to be. And because of that, I now have a point of view on stage.
Yeah.
I now know who I am. I now get up and people know who I am. Even if I don't talk about sex in my act, they still know who I am, which is great.
Yeah. That's good. So what kept you going with stand-up over the first 15 years, and what brought you back? Or was it not the same thing?
What kept me going with stand-up was I just wanted to learn how to be a great joke writer.
Okay.
And even though other people got opportunities and stuff, I just wanted to keep learning the craft. And so me going there, you would go and you would watch, and you would just soak it in, and then you would write better and push yourself to write more and better. And also at the same time, I was also writing one-woman plays and with 6 other people. And so
performed by one person.
Exactly. I was shooting short films.
Uh-huh.
I was writing scripts. So I was also both were informing each other. Both were making each other grow. So the writing has always been, no matter what, it strengthens everything in my life.
Yeah.
And so during the time when I wasn't doing it as much, I was still growing as a writer. I write everything. I write comedy, I write drama, I write dramedy, I write post-apocalyptic sci-fi. I write whatever the story dictates.
Yeah.
And so I was still feeding the jokes. I was still putting all the jokes I write just in my scripts. So anything I would perform, I would just put in my scripts. And then when I came back, it was as if I didn't need to hide. And I wasn't hiding behind scripts by putting my jokes in there, but I was now brave enough to be like, I got to come back. And I knew coming back second time around, as a 50-year-old open micer, I was going to have to start at the bottom and eat shit. And a bunch of my friends are like, I want to come back. And I go, well, if you do, you got to do this. And they're like, I don't know if I can do that. And I'm like, that's what's going to have to take.
Yeah.
But it's the best decision I ever made because I gave myself just a little bit of goals.
Yeah.
And I'd say, okay, in this next 6 months, I want to do this. And within 2 months, I was doing it. And then I'm like, okay, in the next year, I want to do this. And within 6 months, I was doing it. So I knew I had that 15 years of study. It was just dormant and waiting until it could just explode again.
Yeah. So do you feel like you've been guided along this journey at all? Or is it sort of just Wendy's doing her best?
I know where you're going.
We're going to transition to religion, spirituality very soon. Right. I figured this would be a decent segue question.
I do believe in the natural forces of Mother Earth, who does actually, I think there's a lot of randomness in life, but I also think there are reasons for things that happen. And the example I give is there are 3 significant times in my life when I have been absolutely flat broke, like so worried I didn't know if I was going to eat. I didn't know what was going to happen in my life. And literally it was the kind of moments where you know that $20 will change your life.
Right.
And every time I've found $20
Interesting.
on the ground. So I do believe that there are forces, there is energy that do push you in a path, good or bad, but they push you into a path or into meeting somebody or into that direction. And then that actually is where you were supposed to go. Like I wanted my whole life to be a filmmaker. And I got into film school, but it was one of these really expensive ones. My dad's like, no, you're not going to go into debt for that. And because of it, it forced me over to television production in community college and then my university. And that is, I still love making films. I make little films and stuff like that, but my life is television. And so that was like, that forced me into doing something that I should be doing. It was the best kind of thing, not the thing I thought I wanted to do. Of course, I still want to be a filmmaker, but that it's not going to kill me if I'm not. Like it's not, you know?
Yeah.
But working in television makes me so happy. Makes me so happy, you know? And I haven't achieved exactly what I want in television, which is to be a writer or director, but I'm still working in the thing I wanted to work in since I was 10. So I don't care, you know?
So do you enjoy writing or performing more? Or are they just two sides of the same?
Yeah. Like this time I've had the last 3 weeks of just sitting and writing for 2 or 3 hours. It's like breathing to me. And I get the stuff that's stuck up in my head out.
Right.
Now it's different than comedy, where comedy is just jokes just come to me. Like, I can't force myself to write. I just like, I'm walking and then all of a sudden, and so I have to type it into my phone or whatever. So that's that is not something I can plan. Whereas I can plan writing a script.
Sure.
You have to plan it, you know? And so you sit down and you get the ideas out and that kind of stuff. It's very methodical. So it's a very different type of writing and process for me. And so I love to perform, but I love writing a script and like rewriting it and getting a finished product. I have the script I've been writing, I wrote 7 years ago, and I've been updating it ever since. And now I have people who are shopping it around for me, but they gave me notes and I just got a third set of notes. And each time I was so eager to do the notes because it just made the script better and better and better. And so like that eagerness to like get this thing completed is incredible. And it's the same with getting up and doing a good set, and even doing a set where nobody laughs. I don't care. I still did
you learned something, hopefully.
Completely. The last time I went up at the Comedy Store, I've only been up on Potluck twice. And the last time at the Comedy Store, I did a set that I do at 3 minutes that I do, and generally it does great. It was not going great, and I ended up dropping 2 jokes I forgot. Like I didn't realize I had dropped them.
Yeah, it happens.
Stage, and I wasn't so much disappointed that I didn't get the laughs. I was disappointed that I dropped those 2 jokes.
Yeah.
And that's what made me mad about myself. It wasn't that I wasn't getting laughs. I don't give a shit. You laugh at me, don't. I don't care.
Yeah,
that's what age does to you. You don't give a shit. I'm 50. I don't give a shit if you laugh at me. I don't care. That's not about you. It's about me getting up on stage.
Right.
But
right.
I was more mad that I dropped the two of my favorite parts of my 3 minutes. So,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But everybody does it, so it's no big deal.
Yeah, it happens. I feel like I do that every single set. I sit down, I'm like, oh, man, I wanted to hit that thing, and I forgot to do that thing. So were you raised religious?
No. Okay, so with my parents getting divorced, so it worked out that so my dad wouldn't have to pay child support. We lived with him during the week, and then my mom every weekend. But she worked third shift at IBM, so it just like worked out. Third shift is like 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. You know, she made more money that way, and it was just better.
Right. Yeah, the overnight hours.
Single mom and everything like that.
Right.
So so our weekends were dictated by my mom, and my mom was like, I was forced to go to church. I'm not going to force you guys.
Okay.
Having said that, we up until then we were raised Methodists, and so if we ended up at my dad's house for a rare weekend or it was the holidays or something, we went to the Methodist church. It's fine, you know. And Methodist is, you know, I don't know, it's very light.
Yeah.
It's one of the lighter religions. There's not a lot. There's not pomp and circumstance. Having said that, I had friends who were a different Catholic. My best friend was Catholic. I went to her church more than I went to my own.
Interesting.
So I knew more about that. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
My other friend was Baptist.
Tradition. We call it tradition, right? That's what they call it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Southern Baptist with a lot of tongues and like.
Right.
That was dramatic.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any Jewish friends, but there was, you know, temples around. There was, you know, there was Lutherans and like a whole bunch. So I got a taste of a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I think because of my mom, like I don't drink coffee because of my mom. She didn't drink coffee.
Oh, okay. Was that for religious reasons or just?
No, she just didn't like coffee.
Didn't like it. Yeah,
she was
fair
a
enough.
Coca-Cola drinker.
Oh, okay. Well, you know.
That was her coffee.
Yeah.
And by the way, I drink Mountain Dew. So there you go.
nectar of the gods.
So because, you know, we didn't have any, you know, that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
We didn't have to do it. I will say this, I was like 7 and I think my parents were separated and we'd gone to the laundromat. And it was back during the time when you didn't bring a ton of stuff for your kids. You didn't bring anything for your kids to occupy your time for a laundromat.
Yeah.
And the only book in the whole laundromat place was chained to a chair, and it was the illustrated version of Noah, the Noah.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, okay, I'm gonna read it, you know. So I'm reading it, and I remember just like, Mom, how could they have? And she's like, I don't know. And then I turned to the next page. I was like, Mom, I don't get it. She goes, I don't either. Don't worry. And that's the moment I realized I became an atheist. I was just like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Me.
So,
and not that I wasn't open to it. I'm like, I'll listen. I'll hear anybody out, but it's just not something that my brain ever like needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. But you also talk about sort of forces that lead us in directions. So for you, I mean, what do you mean by that? Is that like a higher power or is that, I mean, yeah.
To me, it feels like the energy of the earth. I'm very much rooted. I'm a Virgo. I don't know if that means anything.
It's nothing to me, but yeah, go on.
I'm a Girl Scout. I'm very much a tomboy. I'm very much connected to dirt and earth and that kind of stuff. And I come from farmers. So for me, when I feel the breeze or it snows or it rains or something, that all makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. That kind of energy, and also by people, the kind of energy you give out is the kind of energy you give back. So it's more about the inner beings that are walking around. Did you ever see that movie Midnight Express?
No.
Oh, okay. So I can't ruin it, but
all right.
everybody has like a light of being a light that's in them. And that's, you know, like I think about 4 or 5 times I've seen people's auras, which is a weird thing where all of a sudden you see somebody and they have colors around them. I don't know what the colors mean. I just have seen. So I do think we all have that capacity to understand everybody's energy. And that energy is what like kind of flows through population and the earth. I do think how you treat the earth and how you treat other people is a reflection of what happens in your life. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's not necessarily a being, it's the kind of scientifical natural forces that are around us. And then it's the kind of spiritual energy that we as people, which can be measured, you know, you meet a rotten person, rotten things sort of like surround them. You know,
I guess yes and no, right? I mean,
I know there are a lot of rotten people that do get good things in their life. But,
or that have good things happen to them, right?
Yes, but in the end, I think the cumulative part of
when God judges them.
Okay.
So
I think my problem with the whole God thing is that it's the afterlife. It's like everybody's worried about what happens when you die, and I'm like, more people, almost everybody needs to worry about what happens now.
Of course. You know, but for me, those ideas are linked, right? Depending on how we do here sort of dictates or influences very heavily what happens after.
But so there are so many people are like, oh, I just have to worry about the afterlife. I don't have to worry about now. They forget that, you know, from your point of view, they forget that they need to be good people here. There's so much hypocrisy that's connected with everything, but a lot of it, I see it so much with religion, even now with the whole way the world is. It's just, it boggles my mind, you know, like how can you be that way? Because I just think we're born inherent to be good people. And forces in the world, like, dictate. Like, I fight some pretty hard things that I learned growing up from my family that I don't like, but I fight them to this day because I know that they're not right.
Sure.
You know, even though I inherently have it in me because I learned it. But
right. So, do you believe in a spirit or a soul, something eternal for every person, or what?
Not eternal.
Okay.
I do believe that we all, what we call our conscience and our soul, is about now and our lives, and that is what we have to constantly talk to. And when I was not very good for myself or doing very good things for my relationship or stuff like that, I very much hurt my soul. And so the healing that I had to do within myself and the penance that I had to do for myself, it was all me. I had to do it for me because I had to heal my soul. Like my ex-husband was very much like, you need to forgive yourself. And I'm like, I will, but I need to also be held accountable. I had to hold myself accountable. So that's my soul trying to fix itself so that in the world, I give out that energy again that I once gave.
Yeah.
And once I did heal and fix that, that's really when I started doing comedy again. And it has come back. And so like, there is a cause and effect when you do that kind of stuff.
So when you talk about those kinds of things, in my mind, I go straight to this sort of vague idea of karma. Is that what you're talking about? Is that sort of the same idea, or?
I had always heard that karma, what you do now, is a reflection of what's going to happen to you in the afterlife. And too many people mistake it as what you do now will happen to you
later now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So the idea of karma is interesting. I guess it's just a different version of what I'm saying. The second thing that I'm saying.
Yeah, the more lay person's interpretation of karma. Right.
Yes, exactly. So that in a sense, I believe in that sense, the karma sense, in the sense that, what you do now will reflect,
Yeah, what goes around comes around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I started working in television production 27 years ago, and I did a lot of jobs, and I met a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whenever I would do something independently and I needed people, I could call up those people, even though I hadn't talked to them in 15 years, or if I hadn't worked with them in 15 years, and say, hey, can you help me out? Every one of them said yes, because I was a good person and I always was nice and caring, and like I got stuff done, and I didn't abuse that, and I didn't take anybody for granted. And if somebody said, can you help me? I'll help you out. It completely happened. There's tons of people though that said, oh, will you help me out? I'll help you out. That didn't help me out. Tons of people. And I remember them. And a lot of them are comics.
And you wrote them down, and they're on a list.
They're on a list right here. And if I ever did make it where I had a position where I'm going to hire people, I know those people are going to come out of the woodwork, and I'm going to be like, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Because you just used me, and that's fine. You can use me, but I am not going to reward that behavior.
You're not just going to do what they did. Why be honest with them? Why not just say, yeah, I'll help you out, and then just never talk to them again?
Because that to me is dishonest, and that's bad energy.
Well, what goes around comes around. So do you okay, so you talked about being atheist. So do you believe no God, or are you more agnostic?
No, I believe no God. I was agnostic for a long time, but I believe no God.
Yeah, and what pushed you from agnostic to atheist?
I think it had everything to do when I've had lady part issues. I've had a tumor and a cyst and a fibroid taken out of my lady parts.
Yeah.
And each time, like I'm like, people are like my dad and other, people are like, well, God has a plan and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, I didn't, every time I was just like, no, this is just something, I was just born with this body that likes to grow things, whether it was environmental, because we're a very industrial area. So there was a lot of environmental like poison.
And all the cable TV you watched.
Or it was just like the stuff that like, into generation after generation, and it just finally blew up with me. So I've never had any kids. I've never been pregnant. It's just, I can't, I haven't been able to since I was 25. And to me, it's like, oh, it's not really a plan. It's just a lot. It's just what my body does. And so in a sense, it's like I made it through and I got through it. And it wasn't about prayer. It wasn't about that, but it was about me going, I can get through this. It's my positive energy. So to me, God is your inner conscience. So that's what I feel like it is. And also just growing up and being older and learning stuff and seeing how corrupt people use the term God and who that person is, it just disillusioned me to the point where it's just like, that's not something that I can even believe in. That version of it. And I'm glad people have it for whatever reason. You can believe in whatever you want. I don't care.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just not something I need. I need me.
Right. Yeah. No, fair enough. And I mean, as a religious person, I also dislike when people attribute negative things to God's plan. Right. Because in my mind, I'm on your page more so, where it's like, I think it's just environmental issues or, bad genetics or whatever, right? Just bad luck. I mean, who knows? But I don't think God intends for us to have trials most of the time. There might be some things. I would be willing to say there's, a small percentage maybe of everyone's life where it's directed by a God. That's like, no, I want you to learn something. That's why you're doing, that's why you're going through this. But I think it's so rare. Yeah.
I mean, there's just too many people for there to be one person dictating that closely to everybody's. I think it's more, your God is more like this kind of reminder to people about what humanity how we're supposed to be living in this world. And that translates to me to Mother Nature, like Mother Nature, specifically in the time that we're in right now, is like, there's too many people. You're fucking up the earth.
Too many old people. There are too many
people. She's just like, I got to create something. I got to call.
Got to get you guys out of here.
I got to take care of something here because you guys are not getting the point. So, and that to me is more, that's science-based. They can track exactly these two things that got together that created this thing.
A bat in a Chinese open market. That's what happened.
The anteater thing. So,
And
that lady who's patient zero, she's like, I shared a bathroom with one of those wild traders. It's like, you're not really patient zero. It's whoever the fuckwit who thought that was a good idea.
All sorts of, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, too bad. So you mentioned that you're a Virgo. Do you believe in astrology?
Only
your sign.
I don't understand anything else. You grow up your whole life going, you're a Virgo. But there is some things that it's like, you're supposed to be close to the earth. You're supposed to be very natural. You're supposed to, I don't have any plastic surgery. I don't. These are D's on their own.
Oh my gosh.
You're just supposed to be, you're just supposed to be sort of centered. It's an earth sign.
Got it. So for you, it's true. And yeah.
So, and organized, that's another thing. And I'm a loose Virgo. I'm like, I love a mess as long as I get to clean it up. I don't mind making a mess.
Yeah.
My stepmother was a super Virgo, and she could not stand a mess no matter what. It drives people crazy sometimes. So living with her was a little bit annoying.
Interesting.
But, but I just know the stuff for me. I don't know anybody else's. I don't really, get into that. It's not my thing.
Yeah, well, fair enough. All right, I want to give you. No, sorry, what? I didn't mean to.
I do believe in the seasons,
like fall, winter.
Those
happen. What do you mean you believe in them?
Well, the pagans they celebrated the seasons.
Oh, okay.
So that's Christmas came, they ripped off paganism.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then,
emperor.
And then, and like Easter, they ripped off paganism.
It's
just like certain.
Well, that was Constantine trying to bring different cultures together.
Right. Yeah, of course.
It's like, no, let's take a little bit of the religion, a little bit of the pagan, and we can all celebrate Jesus and Christmas together.
Right. Exactly. So, but they really they embraced what each season did, and so that's sort of what I like to do each season. I like to embrace what it is about and honor that and the connection to the earth and
Oh, okay, gotcha. So do you go crazy at solstice or no?
No, I don't go out in the field naked and try and run around and my boobs flying everywhere. No, by the way, my boobs don't fly anywhere. They're very perky. They're in their 20s still, even though I'm 50. So but no, I don't do that. But if I was in an area more with more regular 4 seasons, I think I would do more of a party, an outdoor thing, or
gotcha, for each change.
LA
sort of
I celebrate Christmas because Christmas for me and my family has always been about getting together and food and that kind of thing. It's not really about Jesus for us. So my mom had a poinsettia wreath on top of the tree. I still have it. It doesn't work anymore, but that goes on top of the tree, not an angel.
Not a star or anything.
No.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you should be getting presents. No, that's fine. So I want to give you a chance to ask, what's the deal with Mormons? Anything regarding my faith that you've been curious about or wondered about?
Well, I know a little bit because Joseph Smith first tried to start Mormonism in upstate New York.
Yeah, he didn't first start to try. He did. Yeah.
He did, and then he got kicked out. And then he got kicked out.
1830. Yeah, then they got kicked out of New York. And anyway.
My question is about the tablets that he said he found.
Yeah.
Now, how do you know that he didn't just make it up? Because it does feel a little bit like he just sort of made it up, and he might have been a guy who wanted a lot of attention. I don't, so that's what makes it more authentic than the L. Ron Hubbards of the world, you know?
Right. Well, I think as far as L. Ron Hubbard goes, I don't know that he has any claim to, I don't know that much about Scientology.
Yeah.
I don't know that he claims that he received his science fiction books from God. Maybe he does, but I'm not familiar with a claim like that. Whereas that is Joseph Smith's claim, that he received these plates, at least direction on where to find them, from an angel, essentially from God, right? And I think for me, it's really just choice. It is, the Book of Mormon has always struck me as teaching truth about God, about Jesus Christ, about our purpose in this life. And so for me, it feels real.
Okay.
But I mean, there is no question that Joseph Smith has a troubling history as far as attention seeking goes, because he was, a treasure hunter. He was brought before a court in New York for fraud regarding treasure hunting. And I think with religion, a lot of it is just choice. So for me, I think there is some fun aspects in religion regarding supernatural and almost magical kind of things, right? I do think that science can explain some of that, which is great. And I don't think religion and science have to be at odds. So for me, it is Joseph Smith's past. I think, who else is God going to talk to? Right? He has to find someone that is willing to believe in supernatural, because as far as we can comprehend God, in my mind, it is sort of magical. It is supernatural. So it makes sense to me that he would find someone who already believes in sort of this more mystical side of our existence, and communicate with him through things that were pretty common for those who believed in similar things at the time. So a lot of people believed in these seer stones and, these sort of magical treasure sticks in upstate New York that Joseph Smith was using, right?
Yeah.
And his claim is that he received a vision on where to find these plates, and that he, before that, was reading the Bible and prayed about a passage in the Bible in James, telling us that if we needed wisdom, we could ask God. So he took that at its word and prayed, and claims to have seen a vision of Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ. And for me, after reading through the Book of Mormon, which I did on my own at age 14, prayed about it at the end, asking for my own confirmation, and I felt a confirmation that that book had come from Heavenly Father. So for me, it is more just a personal connection to the book, and a personal connection to the teachings in the book. So no, I mean, I don't have any proof that Joseph Smith didn't just make it up. There are all sorts of reports, and Emma, his wife, I guess really technically one of his wives, his first wife, talked about him being almost illiterate. I mean, he was not a very well educated person, but he was probably imaginative. Could he have made it up? Maybe, but I don't think that he did. And there's really not, I don't think, a better answer I could give, because there's just not proof, I don't think, one way or the other.
Well, I think that's true of everything. It's what you believe.
Yeah.
And my mom, even though we didn't go to church, she was huge in science fiction and the supernatural. Loved that stuff. So
yeah,
that was her religion,
Yeah, interesting.
And
Wiccan or
no.
Okay,
but
not quite
sci-fi.
that far. Not quite
sci-fi,
that far.
like Dark Shadows and Logan's Run. She read all the book. She was a voracious reader, and anything sci-fi, anything out of the ordinary, anything that was different about supernatural myths and stuff. I'm so sorry.
Gross. You're sick. You've got it.
I have horrible postnasal drip. Horrible. And that's from growing up in homes filled with cigarette smoke. So anytime I talk longer than a certain time, it just starts, because I'm not breathing properly. It just starts going back.
No, you know what, Wendy? I think God has a plan for you.
Oh my God, God's plan is really funny. He's got a wonderful sense of humor there.
I believe he does. I believe he has a great sense of humor, and he probably gets it from his wife. I don't know.
Right. But I understand, I understand that, believing in something, reading about something and believing in it, even though it's not the most popular thing, or
Sure.
it may be very far-fetched or whatever. So there's plenty of things that, I believe in that most people feel like, okay.
Yeah, well, and see, that's why I don't judge other people who believe in crystals, whatever, right? It's okay. As long as
I don't judge. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think what bonded us was the fact that we're two kind of square comics, meaning we don't do certain things off the stage.
Yeah.
And we don't, it's just not in our nature to do that. And, and so when there's not that, it's an evenness.
Right.
There's like a base. And so I think that's why we were able to have these really great conversations while we were waiting in line to sign up for potluck or something.
Yeah.
And that to me is the most important thing, is connecting with other people.
Yeah.
And I think what you're talking about is that you have a connection with what you call God.
Right.
And then the Mormon religion.
Right.
And that in itself is just as important as people having connections with each other. So there's no not one doesn't outweigh the other. It's just as important. And so that's good that you have that, because I feel really connected to the earth and how that kind of happens, and I believe completely in that. Most people are like, and I'm just like,
yeah,
but I believe, that's kind of how. And by the way, it works in my life. So if that works in your life, that's all that matters.
And there you go. Yeah, whatever can make us be better people, right?
Exactly. But I think that's the problem with what I have with organized religion. Most of them is that it doesn't. It's self-serving. It's really just to keep the religion going and keep people under their wing and the money coming in, and not really about what it's supposed to be about.
I think every religion suffers from that. I think every ideology can suffer from that. But I think that's when it's done wrong, right? And when it's being run by imperfect people, which everything on this earth is, then that's just going to be sort of a unfortunate negative.
Right. Exactly.
But anyway. Well, anything
you got? You're the coolest Mormon I've ever met.
Hey, thanks. Thank you so much. I want to give you a chance to.
What?
Oh, I was just going to let you plug anything you got going on.
Oh, I know, right? In this time, in this pandemic time.
Jeez.
And I'm amazed that you can go through life without swearing. I will give you props for that, because I cannot do it.
I want to be genuine and honest. I have 3 children and a terrible temper, so I don't go through life that pure.
Okay.
But on stage, I try to be pure.
Well, good for you.
Than I am in real life.
I try not to be pure in any part of my life.
Well, at least you're genuine.
You can always get me on my Instagram. That's where I'm always posting, not only when I have stage time.
I'll put that in the show notes, but it is what? At
Wendy Jean, WendyJean. I do fairly well in the script competition. So I semifinal or final.
Wow.
Sometimes I win. And it's been nice. I won a couple of things. I'm still waiting for them to repost on their website. I don't know why. They have plenty of time now, but they haven't done it.
Well,
but if you really want some good post-apocalyptic kind of fun entertainment, I took a pilot that I wrote and made a radio play out of it about 5 years ago.
Oh, fun.
It's on YouTube. It's about the start of the Second American Revolution in Los Angeles, and one of the complex that bands together to survive it. And it's called One More Day Radio Play.
Based on Les Miserables. It's one day more, but anyway.
Yeah.
One more day.
Cool. And I have 34,000 listens on it. So
wow, hey.
Yeah. So Doomsday Preppers like it.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting listen. It really is. And there's a couple of things that I get right that are happening now. So
that's fun.
Yeah, and
There
I wrote
you
it
go.
a while ago. So.
Cool. Well, I'll find links for those things and put them in the show notes for people.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you for doing this, Wendy. This was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Oh my God, Seth, you're one of my faves, and I just feel so honored. So
you're too sweet.
You're
right.
sweet.
Everybody have a good week. We'll catch you next time. All right, let me figure out how to